Q&A, type in your name, where it is you're calling in from. We're going to read those out loud as we get folks joining us here for the session. And I'm going to just double check that we're recording. We are. Fantastic. We will be getting this out to everybody afterwards as well. All right, so don't be shy. Let us know where you're calling in from. Q&A section. This is also going to be where it is that you type questions in throughout the webinar. So as anything pops into mind, find us there and we will read those questions at the end. So we have Karen Smith in Las Vegas. We have Joe VW. Joe, where is it that you are calling in from? We have JD from Potomac, Maryland. Ali R from Roatan, Reto from Switzerland, awesome. Pamela N from Sarasota, Florida. Leo is from, it says Mike, I don't know if it's Leo there. Mike McRoberts from Kansas City. We have Joe V in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Vince N from Hong Kong, fantastic. Thank you, Vince. Brandy from Long Beach, SoCal. Andre, he's participating from Colombia. Hello, it's good to see your name, Andre. We have Greg from Denver, James from Valrico, Florida, Ron N from Oregon. We have Amanda, the traveling realtor from Raleigh, North Carolina, Roberto from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mike from Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Ivan, why don't you get Mike over to the panelist side? I don't know if we wanted to have him in, but I see he's over there listening as an attendee. Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this evening. With us, we have a very, very special guest, Eryka, Gemma. Eryka has been a huge part of helping people understand cryptocurrency. And I'm going to take a step back for a second because I know this is a little different than our traditional ECI webinars. Usually when we're talking about ECI, we're talking about our property or our stock options to join our family. But this time we are going to delve deeper into the world of digital currency. And we are going to be beginning with a concept that we call the ECI webinar series. And we're going to be doing it the first Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And what we're doing during this webinar series is we're going to be introducing concepts that are related to real estate, but not necessarily real estate opportunities. What we found is that people who are looking at real estate internationally tend to be out of the box thinkers. You're looking for diversification. You're looking for different ways to get invested. And digital currency, and not necessarily just Bitcoin, but digital currency as a whole is a tremendous way for people to get involved. And so I do see, Mike, I know we didn't ask you to speak here, but I know you and Eryka met at a conference earlier this year. And if you wanted to say a couple of words about Eryka and why it is that you introduced her to ECI development and why you'd like to introduce her to our listeners, feel free to do so.
Well, sure. It's good to be on. Thanks for seeing that it was me. I was just... I was just trying to sneak on and be funny and listen. This is how I met Eryka. I don't. Somebody said you've got to go hear this woman talk about Bitcoin and crypto. She really explains it in such a way that the average person or the non-crypto person can understand it. Now, I was slightly resentful that the person told me that, assuming that because I'm old and whatever I did. Anyway, so I did. I went over and listened to Eryka's presentation at the Dollar Vigilante conference in Acapulco earlier this year, and I was absolutely blown away. In fact, I told my wife and one of my daughters, I said, she's like the Khan Academy of crypto. Both the Khan Academy is phenomenal because that guy just explains mathematics in such a way that anybody can understand it. And Eryka, I'm talking about you, but I can see you there. You do a phenomenal job, and it really just makes it so easy to understand. And because ECI accepts crypto payments for various properties, and we have a lot of folks who are involved in crypto, but we have people who aren't. And so this is just an incredible service to the people who aren't, but for the people who are into crypto and they want to use their crypto to, purchase real estate or residency programs and all that kind of stuff. It's just part of what we want to do in our educational series. So Eryka, thanks for being a part of this. And gosh, you do such a great job. I thank you for helping us out here today.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me, and great energy, you guys. I'm super excited to do this. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is just making complex concepts easy to understand. And so I've really found a niche when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because this is the best performing asset class of 2020. And I think that You know, you're right. People who are involved in real estate, they are also involved and interested in other ways and other lucrative investments. So this is not financial advice. I do have to make that disclaimer, but I do hope to bring you guys a lot of value, and hopefully at the end we can ask some questions and get them answered. Also, I know that there's a huge problem right now when it comes to banks giving out loans and lending, and I do want to give some solutions if just in case you do already own cryptocurrency and you want to invest in one of ECI's properties but also still hold your crypto. There are just a lot of options. So thank you, Rachel and Ivan and Mike, for having me. I really appreciate it, and I hope I can provide your audience with some value.
Fantastic. Thank you
Sure
so
you
much.
will.
So we're going to do a little tech switch here, and Eryka's going to show her screen. But with that, again, thank you, Eryka, for joining. And Mike, you really were spot on when you said that Eryka simplifies it and makes it so that everybody can understand. I can tell you, I've listened to a lot of presentations about cryptocurrency, and by the time I try to explain it to somebody else because I think I understand it, I can't, because I really, at the end of the day, don't understand even anything about blockchain or what that is. So I'm excited to listen to the presentation here, and let me know if you're able to get it. Sometimes it requires us to maneuver a little bit with the sharing.
Okay, let's see. Yes, and we're gonna go here and share, and then we're gonna go
Awesome.
from the beginning. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
You can see it.
You're
Can you
on.
can you see my face in the presentation?
Yes, I can see your face. If you want to turn off video, you can do that by clicking stop video. Or if you wanted to keep it on, you can do that, but we can see your screen as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So now in the comment section, guys, let me know how many people here own Bitcoin. Put some hands up and some yeses. Rachel, let me know if you're getting some yeses. If you don't, say, oh, 4, 5, 6, nice. Participants raise your hand, 7, 8, nice. So I am speaking to an audience that has already invested into the best performing asset class of 2020, and really maybe even history, actually, because it started trading at 5 cents and now we're sitting at about $9,000. Now, of the people in here, I just want to make a couple concepts clear before we get started. So my worldview, I am CEO of Bitcoin Center Miami, co-founder of blockchaincenter.com. Here is where you can reach me, Blockchain Center, Eryka at blockchaincenter.com. If you do want to book some time with me after this, what we do is we provide personalized assessments of your needs in order to provide the best options for you. And we essentially help onboard individuals into crypto. We also, support people who are having technical difficulties get back into their account. And the thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is that there are a lot of different complex financial instruments surrounding it. There are high interest bank accounts, a lot of different ways that you can use cryptocurrency that you already have to make money, including investing into real estate in other countries. So definitely, if you're interested, book some time with us. The code ESCAPE will give you 50% off. Now, Bitcoin allows you to be your own Swiss bank account. It allows you to be a sovereign individual, and it allows you to be a promoter of Austrian economics. So to give you a little bit of background on me, I campaigned for Ron Paul when I was 19 years old. So my worldview, the way that I view things, is very much from a libertarian perspective. There is really no topic that is too taboo for me to talk about. So please, at the end, feel free to ask any questions. I'm not easily offended. And I first heard about Bitcoin in 2012 when I was campaigning for Ron Paul in Washington State. However, I didn't buy into Bitcoin until 2016. I worked for the aircraft leasing division of CIT Bank, and John Thane, this lovely gentleman right here, he is a legendary bankster, meaning that he did the merger between Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. I think the week after the merger, Lehman Brothers failed and he walked away with like $50 million, and we know the story of what happened to everybody else. So I asked him one day about what he thought about Bitcoin, and he laughed, and everybody in the room laughed at me. And that's kind of when I went back down the rabbit hole after campaigning for Ron Paul. So this is very much my worldview, and everything that I see and understand and speak comes from this angle. So first thing I want to make clear, Bitcoin versus blockchain versus cryptocurrency. Oftentimes you see these words used interchangeably, many times by even people that are in the technology. To be clear, these are not the same. Bitcoin is the invention. Now, Bitcoin was posted as open source technology. Open source is software code posted in a public place so anyone can copy it, paste it, and make changes and updates. Some of the best technologies and most widely used technologies are open source. Parts of the internet are open source, WordPress, Linux. And then it's great because anybody can see the code and make updates and changes. Now, so software devs, they saw the code of Bitcoin. They saw that it was revolutionary. They copied and pasted it and modified it for their own business use cases, and they called it blockchain. Now, cryptocurrency is just the first use case, but there are many others. There are literally, I think, 3,000 cryptos that are made right now. A lot of them are tokens. A lot of them are very useless, but cryptocurrency is the first use case of blockchain. Distributed ledger technology is also what it's referred to as. They have smart contracts, and really anything that involves record keeping is going to be disrupted by this. So some of the low-hanging fruit in the industries that you're going to see disrupted by blockchain technology is banking, supply chain, energy management, real estate. These are just really, and healthcare. There are many industries that they innovate vertically, but they don't innovate horizontally, meaning that, for example, in healthcare, you're seeing, great technologies come out and, open heart surgeries, all of these different cool things. But in terms of technology, they don't actually get better. They don't have better back-end systems. When you go to the doctors, you still have to hand fill out forms. So a lot of different industries are going to be disrupted by blockchain, but we are going to focus on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies because this is the use case that has already been proven. So another thing I want to make clear is that money has changed over time. We see a shift from using coins to gold to now cash, but payment channels in terms of ledgers, now we have Apple Pay, now we have Cash Apps and your Venmos. These have evolved over time. So changed versus evolved. What's important to understand about Bitcoin is the payment channel, and it's also the method of payment. So you'll see here that this is a Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper. Bitcoin capital B is the software and the network, and Bitcoin lowercase b is the unit of currency. So this is an interesting innovation. One more thing I want to make clear is that you do not need to own a full Bitcoin. Fractional ownership has blown up since Robinhood started offering it, and really it's what the people want. You have stock market wealth creation methods to people who can't access traditional financial systems. This specifically disrupts emerging markets because anybody with a cell phone and a Wi-Fi signal can now participate in an online financial system. Now, the smallest unit of measure of a Bitcoin is 1 Satoshi, and you can read it like this right here. It goes to the 8th decimal point. So you don't need to buy a full Bitcoin. People, especially millennials, love it because you can, buy $20 worth. And I really think that Robinhood got the idea of fractional reserve ownership of stocks because of Bitcoin. Now, why Bitcoin has value. So this is an overview of my presentation. We're going to talk about the history of digital money, make Mises great again. A shout out to all the Austrian economists out there. Bitcoin versus gold, some industry news to show you how relevant this is, and then some recommended products by me. So, for the purpose of this presentation, we're just going to discuss Bitcoin because it's really the only one that's trying to be sound money out of all the other cryptocurrencies. You might hear about Ethereum, about Litecoin, about Ripple. Now, those are developer tools and they have valid technology behind them. But in terms of being sound money, really, it's only Bitcoin. So the history of digital money. The DigiCash, 1989, David Chaum, all the way down to reusable proof of works in 2004 by Hal Finney. Now, the purpose is to show you that Bitcoin was not the first digital currency on the scene, but it is the first very successful and widely adopted version. There has been attempts to make private internet money since the internet was created, and all of these notable projects contributed aspects to Bitcoin. So the cryptographic protocols, the proof of work, anonymous distributed systems, Bitcoin is an iteration of every single one of these attempts to make digital money. Now, what's also interesting to note about Bitcoin is that there is an anonymous creator called Satoshi Nakamoto. What this contributes to is this idea of an immaculate conception of Bitcoin. There is a lot of speculation on who Satoshi is, but it is very likely that he might have already passed. And this is a great thing because in a form of money like this, you don't want one person that has too much power. And you don't need it because it's open source software, meaning anyone can read and verify this code. It really also helps that regulatory bodies can't point to one person because they can't shut it down. For example, when Libra came out, the government got very upset. They called Mark Zuckerberg in. That can't happen with Bitcoin because people don't know who the creator is. Now, one thing I want to make clear is that the FBI, people say the government can't shut it down, but for example, you guys have probably all seen this before, movies, which was the FBI warning that you get a $250,000 fine if you torrent movies. However, many people still torrent movies. The point of this is that, you can't shut the internet down. The internet is very, very powerful. So people might say you can shut down Bitcoin if the government rules against it, but they would be very hard pressed to try. Now, Satoshi made it very clear that Bitcoin was an invention created out of a need for a better banking system. So embedded in the hex of the Genesis block of the Bitcoin blockchain is also this headline from the Times newspaper referencing the bailout of the banks. So this is January 3rd, 2009, and you can see here also that this date is from January 3rd, 2009. Hiding messages in blocks is a trick that cryptographers will do to timestamp and insert meaning. The goal of Bitcoin was to have a better system where everyone is able to see a copy of the ledger and not just a few powerful bankers. Now, some characteristics of Bitcoin. So I'm just going to briefly cover the technical side to give you an understanding. The easiest way to think about this is an Excel spreadsheet that lists transactions. Now, what's cool about this Excel spreadsheet is that it is an online ledger. The ledger can be viewed online and it's also stored on nodes. You can run a Bitcoin node for less than $50. The software compares all ledgers, keeping everyone honest. Now, another cool feature is that it is in chronological order. So once transactions occur, once a transaction is verified to be true, it is placed into a block. About every 10 minutes, when the block is filled, the block closes. This block gets time-stamped, and then we can work on solving the next block. Another feature is that it's pseudonymous. So this public ledger posted online, it doesn't show names, but it shows wallet addresses. So it looks like this, like a string of letters and numbers. So you can see how much money is moving and where it's moving, but there are not names attached. Bitcoin is inherently untraceable, but it can be traced depending on how you enter the system. There are companies called like Chainalysis that all they do is they analyze the chain to trace ownership and illicit activity. Chainalysis, I think in 2017, 85+% of their revenue came from the FBI and the IRS. So if you're looking to be completely private, Bitcoin is not the way to go. There are definitely other cryptocurrencies that can accomplish that, but those still are not following the principles of sound money. And then another great innovation is that it is immutable. It cannot be changed. So once it's in the chain, it's nearly impossible to retrace back and delete it. So think about land titles, think about legal documents, anything that you want immortalized. This also means that if you do send Bitcoin to somebody, there is no chargebacks, it's irreversible. Some other characteristics are that there is a consensus mechanism involved. And what that means is that this is the method by which a transaction is considered true. This is a little bit harder to explain, and it's essentially computers all over the world are solving complex math problems where 51% of those computers must agree that a transaction is true in order for it to make it on the block. Now, proof of work is the consensus method that they are using. And basically it's proof that anyone proposing a block has worked for it, proof of work. You must add work in order to be rewarded. This idea of adding value to the economy in order to be rewarded is an economic principle that is now written into code. Another benefit of the Bitcoin blockchain is that it's decentralized. Data is stored across the network. So instead of one single point of failure, instead of breaking into a firewall, and then you have access to all of the information. Once you break into that one firewall, you now have to break into multiple people's computers. And it's very, very, very much more secure than anything we have today, even more secure than bank grade security. And not one person or entity has control over approving transactions, which is what makes the decentralization a very, very cool quality. Now, it's censorship resistant, meaning that you cannot exclude participants and you cannot censor transactions. The same way that the internet decentralized information, you're seeing Bitcoin decentralize money and value. But I do want to be clear that not all blockchains have these benefits. These are the possible benefits, but not all blockchains have these benefits. Now, if that went over your head, do not worry about it. To bring into perspective, these are the 7 layers of the internet, and people don't even know that there are 7 layers to the internet. However, it is widely used. We do believe that Bitcoin will become commonplace like the internet. People will not say, oh, I'm running a blockchain company. It will just be inherent into the system. Right now, there are 2 layers on Bitcoin, but do not worry if any of that technical stuff went over your head, because you don't need to understand it in order to use it. So the next topic is Make Mises Great Again. So Austrian Economics, this is really the reason why I have taken such an interest in Bitcoin, because in schools right now, the Keynesian School of Economics is really the only one that's taught, and it's kind of why we're having such issues with our financial system. So my exposure to banks makes me question their credibility. And the next couple slides are about the experience of young people with banks. And you see back here, this is Janet Yellen. She is strongly opposed to auditing the Federal Reserve. I wonder why. And you have a young millennial trolling her saying to buy Bitcoin. Now, many of you have probably seen this image before, but it is the purchasing power of the US dollar since the Federal Reserve was created. Coincidentally, 1913 was also the same year that the income tax was created. And we had a slow progression off the gold standard, which has resulted in today's system. On average, fiat currencies last 30 years because when allowed to have the power, governments can't help but print money. Considering only 8% of the world's currency exists physically, our money is already digital, and Bitcoin can be viewed as a peaceful exit from this system. So 1913, the purchasing power of a dollar has significantly decreased to today because we are no longer on the gold standard. Now, in 2008, we had a financial crisis because of the improper lending practices of banks. And who got bailed out? The banks, more than once. And we have to understand culturally what this does. Millennials don't trust banks because many of them saw their parents lose their home in the financial crisis. My parents lost their home in the 2008 financial crisis. And we not only saw our parents lose our house, but we saw bankers cash out. I mean, now look at these debt numbers. Student loan debt, 1.53 trillion. Pension plan debt, this is a major problem that's going to probably hit the news later. There's just so many issues. And I mean, what do these numbers even mean? We're in the trillions now. So yeah, it's just, who knows what these numbers even mean, but how many friends of mine in real life, we're talking, not just numbers, how many friends of mine are not allowed to be entrepreneurial because they have a hefty student loan payment to make? The pension plan problem really scares me. And like this says, it's not just millennials. The 92% of us don't trust banks, but if you have kids, you should be concerned. If you have grandkids, you should be concerned. Do you want to have kids? You should definitely be concerned because we can't continue to kick the can down the road. It doesn't make sense when you see things like more than 16 million Americans have lost their job in 3 years, but the Dow has the best week since 1938. This was earlier this year. So how are bailouts like this okay? And what can we do about it? This is kind of what my generation is thinking. $500 billion bailout for large companies, and there's no limit to where that money is going, and you can just give that money that your company receives to executive pay. Another problem that recently happened, this is from the Federal Reserve's website, on March 15th, they reduced reserve requirement ratios to 0% effective March 26, 2020. Now, fractional reserve lending requirements were already at a very small 10%, and now they're reduced to 0. I remember growing up, and I remember watching TV and seeing Greece's banks have failed, and that the people could only take out $35 a day. I mean, are the banks solvent? We don't know. This is from June 2020, and if you've never visited usdebtclock.org, this is a very interesting website, but June 2020, we were at $25 trillion of US national debt, about $76,000 of debt per citizen. Now, here we are in July 2020. I took this on the 1st of July, $26 trillion. So we went from 25 to $26 trillion in 1 month, and the debt per citizen went up $5,000. And just to put this into perspective, if I were to count to a trillion, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If I was to count all the way to a trillion, it is estimated that it would take me 1,000 years. So the fact that we went from 25 to $26 trillion in the matter of a month is very, very scary. And yeah, 1 trillion in 1 month. So a lot of, sorry, don't want to rant too much. Now, my experience of being a libertarian, learning about money, and then learning about Bitcoin is not standard. Usually when millennials hear about Bitcoin billionaires who bought Lambos, they want that for themselves. And then they learn about the issues of the financial system. And then they learn about Austrian economics. There's a whole culture around this, which I love because I've been trying to teach people about Austrian economics, but young people don't care. They're very concerned with their social media pages and what's hot on Netflix, and they don't actually care. But what you're seeing is an entire generation come for the Lambo and stay for the revolution. So you have an entire group of people now asking, what is money? What is the Federal Reserve? What is the dollar backed by? And there are 96 million millennials. We are a large generation group, so our financial decisions matter. Now, the average age of a millennial is about 28. So we're getting to the age where we have wealth to invest, and you're going to see a lot of young people put their money into Bitcoin. Now, Austrian economics, how can we teach this to a generation that was only taught Keynesian economics in school? We can teach people about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is free market and money. It is the separation of money and state. It is a peaceful exit from a corrupt financial system. And really, it is an option to be your own bank, and people will pay for options. When you have sound monetary principles written into code that everyone can see, you don't have to trust. You can verify that these principles are being followed. A couple of real life examples is this stack of cash. In 2001, these are Venezuelan bolivars. In 2001, this stack of cash was worth $71,000. In 2018, this same stack of cash is now worth $21. So 2 stories I like to tell people. The first one is, if I were to send money to Venezuela right now, the maximum remittance fee the government would take is 56%. Between both governments, 56% would be taken away from someone who actually needs the help. Also, in 2017, the Turkish lira dropped 27% that year, and that year, Bitcoin hit all-time highs multiple times in that country. We have to understand that no country is immune to hyperinflation, and this is a form of money that is outside of the control of governments. Now, gold versus Bitcoin. This is very important to understand because it brings the idea and the concept of Bitcoin into something real world that we all understand, which is gold, the sound of sound money. Now, I just, real quick, if our money, if our fiat dollars were still based off gold, Bitcoin would not be that important to me. Gold is physical, Bitcoin is digital. It's often referred to as digital gold. And Bitcoin was money created on the internet for the internet by people that transact on the internet. And in an increasingly global world, the money system is going to also reflect that. So according to the traits that make money sound money, here is a table comparing gold to fiat to Bitcoin, and we're just going to go down the line. So fungible, interchangeable, all Bitcoins are the same, and this is inherent in the system. Same with gold, same with fiat. Non-consumable, meaning you can't eat it, can't really eat gold, you can't eat fiat, and you cannot eat Bitcoin. It's online. Portability. So gold is moderate, fiat is high, and Bitcoin is high as well. And Bitcoin is so portable that if you remember your private keys, which are essentially the password to your wallet, you cannot lose your funds. You can cross borders with your wealth intact, and there is a loss of capital controls. You can send money across borders without having to deal with government restrictions. So your wealth is essentially stored inside your brain if you remember a 12 to 24 seed word phrase. It is seizure resistant. So think about 1933 when FDR seized everybody's gold. That is impossible with Bitcoin. And think about refugees having to flee countries. If you have gold, you can't carry gold with you when you're fleeing a country. It's heavy and you will likely be robbed. So another option here is it's durable. So a Bitcoin never decays. Gold is high, fiat is moderate, money can rust. Highly divisible. Like I showed you earlier, Bitcoin goes to the 8th decimal place, and 1 Satoshi is the smallest unit. It's a little bit hard to divide gold and fiat. I mean, fiat definitely goes to the penny, but gold, you would have to like shave off pieces, which that's a little complicated. Secure, counterfeitability. With gold, you have to have a testing kit. An untrained eye cannot spot fake gold, but with Bitcoin, it's inherent in the system. You can't send a fake Bitcoin. The system is able to tell what is real and what is fake. The math in the ledger won't allow for it. And transactable. So anyone with a cell phone and a Wi-Fi signal can participate. About 60+% of the world doesn't have access to banks, and Bitcoin allows these people to transact in a global marketplace, making it very popular in emerging nations. Now, scarcity and a predictable supply. This is very important to have a limited supply. This is why gold is valuable, because there is a limit to it. Now, also though, we don't know how much gold there is. Let's say Elon Musk makes it to the moon and he finds all this gold, then the price of gold will decrease. However, it is written in unchangeable code that there will only be 21 million max Bitcoins. We know the rate at which Bitcoins are mined, even down to the very hour. We know that the Bitcoin ledger is visible to anyone who has a Wi-Fi signal. So in gray, here are some new traits of money that are made possible by Bitcoin. Sovereign, government issued. Gold is not government issued. Crypto is not government issued, but fiat is. Decentralized. Gold is not decentralized. Bitcoin is very decentralized, meaning that it is censorship resistant. No one person can shut it down. And smart/programmable, programmable money, smart contracts. This is a huge innovation of cryptocurrencies that probably not for this presentation, but you're going to see this smart contract feature really change the way that people do business. So yeah, just in traits of money, not everything can be money. There are some things that make money good money, and crypto and Bitcoin performs very well in this. So gold is a good way to stay rich because it keeps its purchasing power. Bitcoin is a good way to get rich because it gains in purchasing power. Bitcoin production is exponentially decaying and gold production is exponentially rising, but both are much better than government paper currency though. We have to remember though that paradigm shifts create prosperity. Bitcoin provides an outlet for personal wealth that is beyond restriction and confiscation, allowing people to participate in a global banking system that over 60+% of the world does not have access to a bank. Looking at it from a United States perspective, sometimes we don't understand because our currency is relatively stable. However, if you look at the countries where this is very much adopted, it's Zimbabwe, it's Venezuela, it's people that it's not like they want to get rich, it's that they don't want to get poor. Now, in 2020, since the flu 2019 outbreak, Bitcoin has outperformed gold and oil. And this is interesting because they had to make the picture bigger because oil dropped to negative $37 at one point. Many view Bitcoin as a safe haven because they know that Bitcoin has a finite supply. Now, by the numbers, just putting the world's money into perspective, let's take it to current day. This picture is a little outdated because right now the Bitcoin market cap is at about 175 billion, but still we have gold over here at 8.2 trillion. Gold is about 50 times larger than the market cap of Bitcoin. And all money in the world, there's about $83.6 trillion circulating in the world's money numbers into perspective. So also, by the way, I'm really happy because we have Bitcoin is a higher market cap than Bill Gates. So that's cool. Now, just to do some math, the current price of Bitcoin on May 30th was 9,500. The Bitcoin market cap was 175 billion. Let's say the Bitcoin price goes to $100,000. That makes the Bitcoin market cap 2 trillion. So that is a 10 times increase. And that's still only 1/4 of the gold market cap. So you're not late to the party. A lot of people think that just because Bitcoin started trading at 5 cents and we're now at about $9,000, that they're late. But you're not late to the party because we're still dealing with very small market caps here in terms of the whole world's money supply. The possible upside is really incredible. And just to show you the possibility of an upside, I'm just going to show you some recent news, a timeline. So the publicly traded companies with the most blockchain patents, Bank of America, IBM, Fidelity, TD Bank. These are all big banks that have the most patents on blockchain technology, meaning that the technology is very, very valid. Here we are. So Wells Fargo has their own digital currency. JP Morgan has their own digital currency. Even though Jamie Dimon might say bad things about Bitcoin, he has his own interbank digital currency. The Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, they're kind of like the central bank of all central banks. They have a paper on central bank digital currencies and their whole committee. This is like a document. You can find it online and read through it if you're interested. So Libra also, Libra is Facebook's digital currency, and they banned cryptocurrency ads for about 2 years. But 2 weeks before Libra came out, they unbanned cryptocurrency ads on Facebook. So you're seeing a lot of different players who are talking badly about Bitcoin on their back end do stuff in the digital currency space. Now, can governments afford the debts that are piling up to stabilize economies? Everybody knows that money is being printed. Interest rates are very, very low right now, and this is a problem for our economy. And you can tell because of what's already happened in other nations that when there is unrest, people flock to Bitcoin. The Bank of Japan is set for unlimited money printing. They have a 250% GDP ratio. The ECB, the European Central Bank, has 750 billion in bond purchases. They buy government bonds, they buy corporate bonds. And since 2015, the ECB has spent $2.7 trillion on its bond buying program. About 40 million Americans are now unemployed. Higher rates of unemployment than the Great Depression. Are we really 40 million or is it more? If people are getting paid out by PPP loans and that's a government subsidy and so they're not filing for unemployment because they're receiving PPP loans that was given by the government, is it really 40 million or is it more? Also, looking in the digital currency space, the CBDC, a central bank digital currency is being widely talked about. How can we distribute money to people faster? It has to be digital. And so a lot of different lawmakers are looking at how can we use digital currencies to distribute money quicker. The head of Coinbase, he used to be the head chief legal counsel of Coinbase, is now second in control at the office of the comptroller of currency. So you are seeing digital currencies being very, very rolled out. And very quickly, to add more validity to this, 2013, Fidelity started to mine Bitcoin. 2015, CFTC labels Bitcoin a commodity. 2016, the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, launches a Bitcoin price index. 2017, Bitcoin futures begin trading on CME and CBOE. 2018, Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs announced they will trade Bitcoin. You are not late to the party. In 2018, TD Ameritrade embeds their logo into the Bitcoin blockchain. See the full picture at tdameritrade.com/blockchain. So these are legacy financial institutions managing over trillions of dollars, and they are all into Bitcoin. 2018, Binance becomes the fastest growing company to become a unicorn. They hit nearly $2 billion in valuation in 6 months. Now, here's another recent one. So ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, which is the owner of the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, they have an exchange that they're creating options contracts just for Bitcoin geared towards creating more institutional investment with physically delivered Bitcoin contracts. This is very much Wall Street, but they still like to call it drug money. Now, Paul Tudor Jones, he buys Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. This is a May 7th, 2020 article. Tim Draper is kind of an infamous VC, and he says that Bitcoin is bigger than the Industrial Revolution, and he makes a prediction that there will be a $250,000 Bitcoin by early 2023, or he'll eat a raw egg. Now, by the math that I showed you guys earlier, a $250,000 Bitcoin still will not be more than the gold market cap. And this is a global money supply. It's not just limited to one country. So owning Bitcoin. This is where I definitely like to walk people through owning Bitcoin. It is not an asset like you can place in the bank and then there's insurance behind it, and other people are saving your passwords for you, and if you get your password, you can get back in. It's not like that. It really takes personal accountability into play, which is good because I think my generation needs a little bit more personal accountability. So there are many different options that we can talk about, custodial versus non-custodial. There are cold wallets, there are hot wallets, there are mobile wallets, desktop wallets, paper wallets, hardware wallets. There are multi-sig wallets, which are going to really replace escrow if you ask me. But we have to understand that if it's not your keys, not your coins. There just are so many different ways to buy, and I don't want to get into the details of how, but you can definitely ask me and send me an email and we can talk about it. Now, in terms of different, I just want to show people that there are financial products offered on Bitcoin. It's not just buying and holding. One of the people that we've recently partnered with is Salt. So Salt is a lending platform. And what's interesting right now is that you are seeing banks not give out money. They're not doing lending right now because it's very, very risky. So Salt is a crypto-based financial product that offers lending. And this is interesting because for all the people who own Bitcoin, let's say that you want to buy one of Mike's properties at ECI, but you don't want to give up your Bitcoin, you can work with a provider like Salt. They will hold your crypto for you as collateral. They will give you cash and you can do what you want with that cash. And the idea here is that, let's say that, you give them 2 Bitcoin, about $20,000 right now, and you have a 3-year loan. And at the end of 3 years, Bitcoin is moving in the way that everyone's predicting it to. And those 2 Bitcoin are now worth double your loan. So it's very, very interesting SALT is an interesting program. If you're interested in learning more about them, please visit their website. If you do decide to go through with them, let them know that I sent you at the Blockchain Center, or feel free to talk to me and I can teach you about them. But the Bitcoin Center also works with peer-to-peer exchanges. If you're interested in doing some arbitrage between countries, we work with hedge funds. We work with different spending platforms. So if you want to use a Visa card to buy crypto, use a Visa card to spend your crypto. We work with payment processors. We work with high interest bearing accounts, 8% annually. There is no bank that can beat that. And we also have quant trading bots that I personally use that have done very well for me for Bitcoin that I'm just holding anyways. And we've just spent the last couple years learning and aggregating the best of the industry to provide customized solutions to our clients. And we want to customize them to whatever it is that you need. So last slide is this. So if you're interested in booking some time with me or somebody from my team, you can use the code ESCAPE for 50% off. We help onboard individuals into crypto and by providing customized solutions. So that is it for me. And we're gonna open it up for questions, but thank you for your time. And just remember that Bitcoin is an option that you're seeing many people migrate to because it allows you to be a sovereign individual. It allows you to be your own bank, and not just your own bank, your own Swiss bank account. And it is also a promoter of Austrian economics to a generation that doesn't understand money at all. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Eryka. That was awesome. What we're going to do before we jump into questions is we're going to just go through a couple more slides. I think that'll be advantageous for all of us here on the screen. And then we will, from there, go through questions. I saw a couple of you did raise your hand throughout the presentation. I didn't necessarily see if you were able to send a question. Just type your questions in there to the Q&A section. And then at the end, we are going to go through those and then go through questions with Eryka. So bear with us for about 2 more minutes. I think that this is going to be very relevant for a lot of you who are on the presentation today, because while you are able to utilize your cryptocurrency and you get loans with SALT, as Eryka mentioned, we as a company do also accept cryptocurrency. You may have seen we've advertised Bitcoin specifically, but that's not the only cryptocurrency that we use. You're able to use it for the purchase of rental property or real estate generally. You can take a tropical holiday to any of our properties using your Bitcoin, or if you're looking for an investment or residency options, you are welcome to use your crypto as well. Here we price it in Bitcoin, but like I said, we are flexible with the cryptocurrency that we accept. And here's a really neat opportunity to get in on a rental condo in Belize on Ambergris Caye with a branded hotel under 13 Bitcoin for your own condo on Ambergris Caye, rented out through the Best Western. This is also full title ownership. If you would like the details for this, just message us info@ecidevelopment.com and we'll get those details to you, info@ecidevelopment.com. And even if you don't necessarily have Bitcoin yet, or you are still looking at your strategy and want to talk to Eryka about that, but you may want to use your Bitcoin for this, or perhaps you even want to use cash, you're welcome to do that as well. If you're looking for more of a higher end property beachfront on Ambergris Caye, Belize, you're also able to use your Bitcoin at the Marriott. So under 51 Bitcoin for a studio with direct waterfront views overlooking the reef and the Caribbean waters. And then last but not least, you are able to use your cryptocurrency to own Teak and obtain residency in Panama. Having a plan B and protecting your personal freedom is probably one of the concepts and themes that we're hearing the most about, especially everything that's been going on over the past couple of months. So if you're able to take charge of your future, you probably would want to do that. And this is a great option for you to do that. By owning Teak in Panama, we paired it up with a residency program, and through that, you're able to secure your plan B. And just a couple of benefits about Teak ownership. Number one is you're giving back to Mother Nature. You are investing in a certified reforested property. Number two, there's a huge demand for Teak. And what we've seen is that as the population continues to increase, the demand for fine hardwoods like Teak continues to increase with that. And then over the years, we have a decade's worth of numbers showing how ownership of timber and Teak more specifically has produced above average returns, and there's real value in the marketplace. But again, we're able to get that to you. And if you are looking for securing your personal freedoms, protecting your most important asset, you can get the Teenage Teak, pair it up with the asset protection bundle. And with those benefits there, you're looking under 3 Bitcoin. Under 3 Bitcoin for that. I saw some fellow who mentioned he started out with Bitcoin. I think he said when it was $450 or $475. So you've probably done pretty well. So if you're looking to unload some of your cryptocurrency or your Bitcoin specifically, we can certainly help you with that. So that's it from my spiel today. There's our email addresses there on the screen. Oh my, I realize I have a little typo in mine. I think you all know it at this point. It's at ecidevelopment.com. Our Jensen at ecidevelopment.com. We have Eryka's there too. Eryka with a Y at blockchaincenter.com. And with that, why don't we open up the floor to questions at this point? I did see a couple of them coming through while Eryka was presenting, but what you're also able to do is just type them there into the question section. Like I said, I saw a couple of you raising your hands earlier, but why don't we just get those there into the Q&A section? So to start off, Eryka, are you ready?
Yeah, so I do see some questions. Derek asks lots of positives. Yes. As a buyer of Bitcoin and Ether, can you discuss some of the negative naysayers often bring up? Example, volatility, loss of Bitcoin due to error in handling / storage, irreversible if you sent to the wrong public key. So those are some of the negatives, but those are actually also positives, right? So in terms of volatility, when you have a market cap that's $175 billion, not that much money will move it a lot. And while that can be seen as a negative, it's also a positive for people that are day traders. It's also a positive because you're seeing an asset that is 11 years old. And right now, there's still a lot of price discovery happening. So while volatility can be seen as negative, it's kind of inherent to the system right now, but you can absolutely take advantage of it, especially if you use one of the, like the quant trader bot that I have. I think last month I made 20% just because it was super, super volatile. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the last 3 months, Bitcoin has been between $9,000 and $9,700. It's been in that range. So it just depends, but I do actually hope Bitcoin continues to be volatile because I would like it to go way up. And now the second one, you said loss of Bitcoin due to error in handling and storing. This is why I really me and my team, we do a lot of one-on-ones with people because there are errors in handling and storing, but if you take the proper precautions, that is not a problem. Now, to some, this is a drawback because there are issues, but to some, this is also a benefit, meaning that you are the only one that can lose your Bitcoin. There is no fallback plan, which some people like because they like that personal accountability. So this is a feature that there's no backup plan, meaning no one can take your money from you. Now, irreversible if sent to wrong public key. This is also one thing that we like to teach people is that, you have to be very, very careful and on how you are sending things, because if you send to the wrong public key, it is irreversible. Now, this is also a feature that is a problem when people lose their money, but if you handle things properly, then it won't be a problem. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is still a new technology, and there are still some UI, UX things that can be worked out, and they will be improved upon. Bitcoin is worked on every single day by the open source community. But right now, if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, it's better to get involved when it's early and there are these other issues than to wait until the issues are solved. So let's see, what would you suggest for Bitcoin beginners to get started? What steps do I need to follow to invest 5 to 10K in Bitcoin? So that is really dependent on what you want. Do you want to use a hedge fund in order to get involved where they are the ones that are storing your private keys for you so you won't have to run the risk of mishandling it? Do you want to do it in a way that is like a cold storage wallet to where you are the ones that hold it offline? Do you want to do it in a hot wallet to where you can spend it using a Visa card if you want to? Or do you want to put it in a place that has a high interest bearing account? I mean, there's just so many different options. So Andre, I really suggest that you send me an email, reach out to me, Eryka at blockchaincenter.com, and I can give you, depending on what your needs are, the best steps to invest. So we could definitely talk about that. Now, Ed says, as major corporations launch their own cryptocurrencies, how do you see that affecting Bitcoin? I see that as only validating the technology. People can no longer say that they don't trust Bitcoin because you're seeing many, many different companies come out with their own currencies, just validating that this technology actually works. Now, as companies launch their own cryptocurrencies, like I was saying earlier, the difference between Bitcoin and any other really cryptocurrency on the market is that you can point to a leader and say, this person started that. Now, what that does is it gets rid of this censorship resistant money that's outside of the control of governments, because you can say, let's say, for example, IBM, right? IBM has their own blockchain. It's called Hyperledger blockchain. They do a really good job at selling people on the idea that this is a ledger that cannot be changed. But the way that the blockchain works is that you have people who are running complex math problems on their computer, solving the math and the algorithms behind the scenes, making sure that the network is remaining honest. Now, in the Bitcoin blockchain, these people are all over the world. You don't know who they are. Like I said, for $50, you can run your own node and be validating the blockchain. So anybody can contribute to the integrity of the system. When you have companies that come out with their own blockchains, they'll probably appoint their CEO, CFO, COO to be validating this technology. Now, the ability to manipulate two of those three people is much, much easier than being able to manipulate people that you don't even know who they are all over the world. And you would have to get 51+% of them to agree that they want to do something malicious enough to affect the entire network. So in terms of affecting Bitcoin, they're not competing in the same market. So blockchains can exist, and they're very good for record keeping within industries, but you're not really seeing anything else be a form of money that is sound money. Now, Derek asks, do you recommend Bitcoin over Ether at this point? From an investment standpoint, I recommend both. I would say Ether is definitely not a bad option to buy into right now. You're seeing DeFi, decentralized finance. A lot of different DeFi projects are being put on Ether, but Ether does not have a limited supply. It does not follow Austrian economic principles. Ether is a developer tool, and I would say it's a good investment, but I would buy both. I mean, I personally have Bitcoin and Ether, but Bitcoin really is this revolutionary form of money. I want to lend my crypto to ECI because I trust them. That's good. I trust ECI too.
Thank you, Gregory.
Can I lend ECI as to ECI deposit towards TEAK program? So I think this would be really good, actually. And we might have to talk about this, Rachel, but we can use his Bitcoin, Gregory. We can put it with Salt. That means we can put your Bitcoin with Salt. Salt will give you a loan. You can give your loan to ECI, and then that way your Bitcoin is still intact. You just pay off your loan, and then once your loan is paid off, you get your Bitcoin back, which hopefully by the time your loan is paid off, your Bitcoin is worth way more than what you initially put in, and you are over collateralized. So yeah, that's a good option. We should probably talk about that.
Absolutely. And I do want to mention, if you, Salt is a great option. What I like about it, Eryka, is that you do still have your Bitcoin there, or your cryptocurrency at the end of the day. So if there is that appreciation factor, you still have it. If you just wanted to unload it entirely, we do accept Bitcoin directly. So you're able to pass it from your wallet to our wallet, and then have that transaction be done. But I think that'd probably be a good conversation to have with Eryka to see what would be the best for you in that sense. So yeah, great question.
Yeah. Okay. So one more question from Derek. Does running your own Bitcoin core require much involvement after setting it up? It was recommended to me. I feel like you probably mean Bitcoin core node. And it depends on where you buy it from. If you make it yourself, you can make it on a Raspberry Pi for like $20. But if you buy one from like Casa Hodl, I think those are $70, but you just literally plug it in and set it up. So it's simple, just depending on what you want to do. If you're a technical person and you want to get involved and get your hands dirty, then it might be a little more complicated. But if you just want to make sure, and this is the beauty of running your own node, is you can route your payments through your node, meaning that nobody can stop you because you are your own payment processor at that point.
That's what I was just about to ask. So that's what a node does. It allows you to be your own processor.
Yeah, so a node is kind of like I would love to show you guys one time, like if you go to blockchain.info, you can see a live record of the Bitcoin blockchain transactions going through. So like, for example, if I go in my wallet and I sent someone, let's say $20 in Bitcoin, and I send this to them, I can click on my transaction ID and I can see that they received it. I can see that it's had this many confirmations. I can see how much money is in this person's wallet. So it's really cool to see this public ledger, but blockchain.info is a good learning point to start that. But a node, what it does is you can route your payments through it. And also it is a copy of the ledger. So what you're doing is, let's say that it's me, you, Ivan, and Mike, and Ivan and Mike decide to get together and they want to change the transactions, and me and you, we're running honest nodes, the math behind the Bitcoin blockchain will realize that, hey, what these two guys are doing is incorrect and the girls are right, so keep that one honest, keep this honest ledger that they are running and forget about these two dishonest ledgers. And what it will do is it will force their ledger to run off the honest one. So it's a little complicated, but definitely running your own node, it helps you to be censorship resistant. So cool. Recommended exchanges besides Coinbase, thoughts about crypto.com. So crypto.com is actually a client of ours. They definitely, I prefer them to Coinbase. My problem with Coinbase is that, the reason why Bitcoin exists is because there's a problem with fractional reserve lending, right? There's a problem that 90% of the money you put in the bank is not actually there. I do think, and a lot of the people in the crypto community think, that Coinbase does this. They pretend like they're giving you your Bitcoin, but they don't actually give you Bitcoin. They just give you a number on the screen. So crypto.com, I like a lot better. Because just for one, they're a client of ours. I know their people. If you have a crypto.com account, they do so many giveaways. I think last month they gave away $250,000 in Bitcoin. If you sign up for crypto.com with my link, then you're going to be entered into a special pool of giveaways. But yeah, crypto.com. I'll send you my link. So please use my link. It helps me. But if you use crypto.com, what's interesting about them is that they give you a Visa card. So you can spend the money in your wallet, and then, you can spend the money in your wallet using a Visa card that your merchant doesn't even know that you're spending crypto. And with crypto.com, they have a cold storage wallet, which is really nice, meaning you hold your own private keys, you can send your money over there. And also with crypto.com, they have like a quant trading app inside. Right now, crypto.com has 0% fees if you want to buy cryptocurrency, which is great because I think Coinbase charges maybe like, I don't know, if you buy, I don't know what Coinbase's fees are, but crypto.com's right now is 0. So how can you transfer from Coinbase to crypto.com? That is going to, basically, I'll tell you in a quick sense, but I don't want you to do this unless you have somebody helping you. You go to crypto.com, you copy your public key address, you go to Coinbase, you hit send, paste your public key address, double check that you pasted it properly because it is a string of letters and numbers, so it's a little bit confusing. And then send it over. You can monitor in the blockchain to see when it sends. And yeah, it's pretty simple, but I would definitely love to help you, Wendy, if you want to send me an email. But let me, I'm going to send you guys a, let's see. I'm going to post my code in here so you guys can help me out. Okay, cool. Any other trading platforms you recommend / don't recommend besides crypto.com and Coinbase? So trading platforms, I say so personally, I use Binance on a VPN. So yeah, I like Binance. There's the Binance United States, which is great in terms of, but when you say crypto.com and Coinbase, the difference between them and a Binance is that those are fiat on-ramps, meaning you can buy cryptocurrency using your debit card or your bank account. Now, Coinbase, you just buy and hold it there. There's really no other benefit other than they give it to you. But Coinbase also is very, very vocal about telling the IRS who's buying crypto using their platform. Yeah, Binance like that. Exactly, Wendy. So in terms of onboarding onto crypto, crypto.com is the way to go because they have 0 fees right now. Another way that's good for onboarding onto crypto, depending on where you are in the world and what jurisdiction you're in, is BISC, BISQ. Look into it, but if you're not in the United States and you're not subject to KYC AML laws and you want to remain anonymous, BISC is a great one. Another option is Paxful. So Paxful is also another client of ours. We help them expand their reach in Venezuela. And what's interesting about them is that you can really make some money doing arbitrage. So right now, like say, for example, in Colombia, Bitcoin is trading at a premium. So if I buy Bitcoin in the United States and then I go to Colombia and I sell it, you could make easy, probably 7% just because it's more needed in Colombia than it is here. So it's trading at a premium. So I would look also into Paxful. Paxful is a really great resource. They've been around for a long time. Depending on how much you want to buy, you can also go through OTC desks, which are much better because then you're not paying a premium. But like I said, we also work with hedge funds. So if you're interested in doing something that makes you feel a little more secure and has that insurance that people love, then I would suggest doing that. Another thing is Celsius Network, probably one of my favorites, but they have high interest bearing accounts and they also have stable coins. So if you have like a stable coin, which is essentially a cryptocurrency that's $1, they'll pay you 8% a year paid out weekly on whatever stable coins you hold in their account. For Bitcoin, I think it's 5% right now a year, and they pay it out weekly as well for just holding your Bitcoin in their ledger. And they are the ones that hold your private keys, and they also have insurance. So definitely a lot of different options. And let's see, Derek, you asked another question. Let me see. Also, if you guys have IRAs, there are IRA companies that allow you to put your money into Bitcoin. Very, very interesting. Okay, I'm going to post this crypto.com link in the chat room. And sorry,
go ahead. We'll get one more question answered, and then I think we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, yeah. What was the last question? It was
just, let me pull it back up here. Where did this go? I think it was Derek. Here we go. All crypto purchases from Coinbase are stored on Ledger. Can I simply sign up for crypto and transfer? I think we kind of covered that one a little bit.
Yeah, you can. You sign up for crypto.com and transfer it over. Yes, you can do that easily.
Okay, perfect. All right, so with that, thank you, Eryka, for joining. This was fantastic. You can see there's a tremendous amount of interest of folks who are ready to get started or who have gotten started perhaps on their own and just need a little bit of guidance on the next best steps. Contact Eryka if you'd like more information. I've learned a tremendous amount today. I'm looking forward to further chatting and learning more about cryptocurrency. And of course, if anybody has any questions about utilizing them through Salt or directly doing a transfer with ECI, just let us know directly and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you again, Eryka. Thank you. Thank you. This was fantastic. And we hope to see everybody on the next educational webinar series next month. I believe we're going to be doing international banking, talking about banking internationally. So you'll get an invitation for that and we'll see you there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.